All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Thursday, April 18th, 2024. Glad to be with you. 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's where we are every morning here on the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to hit that button. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs. That starts with you. Click that button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. We do a weekend recap every weekend. So I hope you watch that video as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Dow futures are up 85 points. The Nasdaq is up 17. The S&P up 0.13%. The Russell's up 0.31%. The volatility index rejecting 20, now below 18, down 1.37%. 105.96 on the dollar, holding steady. Crude oil is up 0.47%. That's been taking a little bit of a hit lately. $2.71 for gasoline futures. That's pulling back. Maybe that translates to some pullback in the pump, possibly. 2,400 for gold. That's a bounce back up 0.54%. Silver continuing its run, 28.66. I had a DM from one of our members who asked me, should I hold SLV? And we closed SLV last week. So again, the point I'm making of this story is that, again, the Discord server, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. He was saying, hey, should I hold SLV? What do you think? And I said, hold it. Can you hold it till the end of the week? We have OPEX, which is basically tomorrow. So shout out to him. Hopefully that's moving higher today. Let's see really quickly. I think we had the 27 strike calls, and it is on the upside. So I hope he catches that today. Copper this morning, $4.42. FCX, again, we're out of those, but again, still setting up for higher. So 52.42 is the local highs. We're at 51.11 currently. Again, FCX, that's copper right here, Freeport McMoran. Moving on here to the euro dollar. I went ahead and told everyone to get out of that position. 12 points green on that, 12 pips, excuse me. But it looks like 106.70 seems to be that resistance. So we went ahead and closed it out. But we got in, I think, at 54. So again, I put an alert right here at 55 just to let me know if that does pull back. But again, 107 seems to be that R at this moment. And the reason that we traded that is because of this 100-week moving average. If we break above 107, then we can have the conversation about targeting 108. So for now, let's take the profits on euro dollar. Again, I'm going to watch this very carefully and see if we hold that 100-week moving average. All right, we're looking at the dollar yen. That's flat this morning. Dollar Canadian dollar 137.52. That's down about 22 pips. Pound dollar 124.58. Bitcoin bouncing a bit. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Bitcoin got a little bit of a bounce. It is still below the 50-day. My BITO call is pretty much smoked. Mind you, I believe tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Bitcoin halving event, the 19th. So keeping an eye on Bitcoin. Let's see if we get anything. Possible consolidation set up here. Haven't really broken in terms of support other than the 50-day. Still looks like it's just holding up and consolidating at the moment. Possible double top, maybe. If we get to 55,000, then I would be a little more concerned. But at this point, I'm not. 53,693 is your 20-week moving average. That is about 9,000 for where we are currently. If we get a little closer to that level, maybe, just maybe, we can see if we could snag that for a dip buy. Other than that, dollar cost average is the best bet. 30.22 on Ethereum. That's up 0.53% this morning. All right, let's go to SPY. S&P 500 here. I'll go to the 4-hour chart since it includes after hours. It's up about $2 this morning. We do have a gap to fill. This is at 497.29. I believe that should fill. The question is when? Should we get it by tomorrow, which is OPEX? Sounds about right. So again, we are up this morning. It's not like the market is down, but we're still below the 50-day and below the 20-day. We broke this trend here. And again, I was wrong. I thought we would get the retest of that trend line. So technically we did. That was on the 11th. But then really what accelerated the downside was the Iran-Israel headlines. And then pretty much the market ran with it. So again, I'm fully expecting us to fill this gap at 497.29 on SPY. Remember also May tends to be weak in terms of seasonality. But yet the last 2 weeks of April are supposed to be strong, and the market has not been strong this week, at least. Obviously, the week isn't over, but we're going to go over all those details on what to expect in terms of the market. But as of right now, the trend is broken. We are below the 50-day. So if we're looking for a target, maybe the short-term target, again, it's that gap fill, 497.29. I have seen some options out there. The problem with SPY is that it's rather expensive. So you do have another level down here, 491. Again, further out of the money you go, the cheaper it's going to be. But again, time, that's the key. You want to buy the right time that we can. OPEX is tomorrow, so buying something for this week expiry isn't ideal. It is not ideal. It is not, in my opinion, smart. Buy some time down the line, and then we can see where the price action goes. But for now, for the time being, it's bear hats. You got a trend breakdown. You got your below the 50-day. Again, you're going to get some spikes like today. But for the most part, until we really get above the 50-day again, it's pretty much downhill for here for now. And again, this price action is something that I expected in May. I'm just 2 weeks late, basically. Went ahead and shorted TQs as well, and that's pulling back. But again, it is up this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look here on the daily. You're below the 100-a-day moving average. We have a gap to fill here at 51.75. That's what I fully expect to happen on TQs. That might be a nice place to play a bounce on tech stocks. All right, let's go ahead and answer some questions here. Good morning, SPY. In terms of calls, let's see. Like I said, we got to get above the 50-day. So 510 or above. You got to get above 510, 15 or so. DAL, Delta Airlines. We are in those. Delta Airlines, UAL yesterday had a really great earnings report and reaction. We are above the 20-day moving average, so that's a check. All I'm expecting is to get up to 49.81 and see if we can break that double top possibly, or just at least test the double top. Believe we are in for June, so we do have time on our side, and I do expect DAL to go higher. We did have this spike and then the pullback, but again, 49.81 is my target. SPY, it depends on what you're looking at in terms of time frame. There was Arpin Dioria, I'm going to butcher that name. SPY like calls above 502.75 and puts below 499.37. I expect us to get a pullback pretty much till the end of the week. It seems like we're just getting started on possible correction time. I mean, it can't say like meltdown, but again, listen, technicals are telling you are pulling back. Now, regardless of the reason, we do have earnings as well, but geopolitics, fine. Yields are spiking a bit. So we just have to really go day by day. But the trend has broken, and we're going to have to play that accordingly. If you flip this upside down, this would be bullish, let's just say. QQQ's 429 and puts below 424.90. Let's see where Qs are at. And Qs, did we fill this gap? We did fill this gap here, so that's done with. Now, if we're looking for the next level of support, it's right at 422.18. Now, again, we are up this morning, but again, 422, that is your 100-day. If that breaks, now you really have to look at the possibility here of 413.92. That's one more gap down, but 408.71, guys, that's just retesting the breakout, the all-time highs that we just broke out of. So again, this would be extremely textbook. You got a trend line up with a breakdown, retest the breakout. That's it. If we get to 408, that's not the end of the world, guys. You're just going back in time to January 8th, the horror. But again, once you get there, that's where it's make or break. All this right now, this is just trying to find some buyers. And again, the only way, in my opinion, we go higher is if we get some kind of peace deal in the Middle East, or earnings have to be absolutely stellar. Absolutely stellar. So we will see. Tesla is not helping the cause, by the way. All these layoffs and headlines. Something's got to give. Good morning. Thoughts on C? C, I do expect to go higher. We're bouncing right off the 50-day moving average. It's just got to hold that. More than likely, 54.77 is our downside risk. That's, again, just like with QQQ, the breakout level. Could we also retest here and use that as support? That is a possibility. ARM, I believe that's a chip maker. When it comes to chip makers, I believe just two are the best, AMD and NVIDIA. Taiwan Semiconductor is fine too. But really, those three, ARM and everything else, listen, I'm pretty sure they're great companies. I have yet to research them, but it's gotten a pullback. It is down again. There is a massive gap at 78, guys. It's just very expensive when it is pulling back already. So looking at this here, 98.31 would be my target. I think you need to get back to this gap fill if you were looking to buy this stock at 77.98. It's a lot of downside, but it is very possible. Let's see. Oh, the 20th is the halving. I thought it was the 19th. Do you see Tesla going back to $100? Let's see it. $100? No. The only thing that I would expect in terms of where can we go is right here, 146. 146.60. Last gasp is right around 140. 100? I don't believe so. No. Just like on the upside, like this kind of move, these things tend to reverse. And it gets to the point where you throw the baby out with the bathwater. And then what happens? You get some kind of spike. Now, keep in mind when you're looking at this chart here. I know it looks bad, but really, all we have has been stuck in this really downward channel. We need some kind of breakdown, again, right around that 133 area. Then, yeah, I guess you could, I wouldn't say 100, but maybe the 120 area. There is a gap fill here at 146.26. We're about $7 away, so we're not going to play that. Just too expensive. So we're going to watch for that gap fill. And when we get to that gap fill, I think I'm going to go long on Tesla. I think I'm going to look at just going ahead and buying some calls. Absolutely. I still expect us to stay in this channel and bounce. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, Carlos, how can you expect a bear market, or not bear market, a pullback or that with Tesla going up? Now, again, Tesla has been sliding literally since last July, and the market, the S&P, has been outperforming. The Nasdaq has been going higher. So they're not as correlated as you think. As obviously headlines matter, fundamentals matter, technicals matter. So Tesla's not that big of a part on the terms of a SPY move, S&P move, or QQQ move, the way NVIDIA is now. NVIDIA is what Tesla was in 2021. Ulta. Possible double top on Ulta. It just filled this gap. If you were looking to buy the stock right here, is not a horrible place to start at 424. Let's see the weekly. Did we break any major? Yeah, we sliced here about the 100. 400 level isn't terrible. Last gas was 389. And Ulta had a great quarter too. Rivian shares, no. I'll just say no. I wouldn't even trade it, sure. Own it, no. I think when it comes to EVs, it's Tesla. That's really it. That's going to be your best growth. They have the patents. This has disaster written all over it. More than likely, guys, Rivian's going to be a penny stock pretty soon. So if there's any kind of put options out there that stands out with great volume, look to short it. It's really bad and it's really ugly. So I wouldn't want you to get hurt. So I would stay away from this name unless you're shorting it. I kind of treat Rivian kind of like the Donald Trump stock. The DJT, that thing is coming down. And yesterday it pushed higher. So, I mean, it doesn't look great, guys. It's just what it is. And if you break DJT below 24.34, there's a gap fill at 17.51. That's pretty much where you're going to go. Regardless of who's the president, technicals are technicals, patterns are patterns. We'll just see what happens. Tesla's not a great stock anymore. It's like Apple. I don't think it's a bad stock. Again, it's just, like I said yesterday, the CEO needs to just be better or be replaced. And that's pretty much it. I think once that happens, Tesla gets a new CEO, then I think brighter days are ahead for Tesla, in my opinion. They just have the technology. They have a brand. They have great cars. I mean, I see them everywhere. Mass adoption, really, in terms of EV, is because of Tesla. So that's got to be worth something. Any reason why specifically Rivian, even though they're coming with the R2? Price action tells all. It doesn't show a lot of confidence when you just keep cratering down. And again, you're starting to get dangerously close to that $5 penny stock land. If you want EVs, in my opinion, I still think Tesla's the better play. Rivian, unless you're planning to short, I would be extremely bearish on this name. How's this? Rivian needs to prove they're worth something, in my opinion. And I've seen those cars around, very far and few between. But if you want EV exposure, it's got to be Tesla. If he leaves, it'll be 100. At Tesla, I actually think the inverse. I think it would go higher. just depending on who would be the replacement. Or they could just sell the company to Apple, and then, then that would be like meets like. Apple didn't develop a car and Tesla got a car. How's that? All right. Thoughts on SMH or TSM? Taiwan Semiconductor is down pre-market, even though they had a good quarter and beat. 136.46 is your 50. That looks to break it. You have a gap to fill here at 103. Might be a good place to buy, though. TSM is going to be around for a while. I mean, they got government money now. That's kind of like Tesla, how they had government money pre 20, what is it, 2017, 2018? They were getting some government grants, the EV tax write-off thing. That really makes a difference, obviously, when you have the government footing the bill. But TSM, again, that's the level I'm looking for, is right around 103. That would be great if we can get there. That would be a 40% pullback. I don't know if we would ever get there. Granted, possibly you get some kind of geopolitical issues, China invades Taiwan or something insane. But Taiwan Semiconductor are building plants here in the United States. So it's not like their production would go completely offline, for example. But I mean, it's good to see that they're at least prepping for that if anything does happen. Right now, we are breaking below the 50-day. If you want to look at 130 as a possible next support, and then if it does, then 120 puts. I mean, that remains to be seen. It's just earnings at this point. I would say really just keep an eye on what the possibilities are for future price action. But SMH not doing so well at the moment, even though we had Micron get that government money as well from the CHIPS Act. Looking at SMH here, you can see this trend line I just drew. Your next level of support probably around 205. There is a gap to fill here at 196. I fully expect us to get there. I will keep an eye on the SMH put options. So you can see that there's your gap there, 1 and 2. And we're slicing below the 50. I think 206, you'll get to 196, so about a $10 move. The last thing I want is that we bounce here. So let's see if we can break that first, and then we can short. 206.46. There we go. Yeah, NIO. Well, NIO is Chinese. So again, they have their own market over there. The problem with Lucid, they're primarily American market, and there's a lot of competition. Not to say the Chinese don't have competition, but Chinese, I think NIO is more of an indictment of the Chinese economy than anything else in terms of consumer discretionary spending. Rivian is going down in value with a good economy in the United States. What happens if things go wrong? Where's Rivian going to be then? Possibly with Tesla too. Tesla is a cyclical stock because it is a car company that makes tech or a tech company that makes cars. Again, look at Ford, GM. Those are all cyclical stocks. And what happens in cyclical stocks? You get some sharp pullbacks and you get some nice spikes. Kind of the deal. AMD pullback 153.04. My dip buy is not looking great, but that's all right. And you can see this trend line here below the 100. Next levels to look at 149.10. It is green this morning, and you have next level of support right around 138.53. The problem with AMD that I have, it is just damn expensive. So in order to send out a signal. So in order to trade AMD, we really need to be either A, out of the money, which is fair, or B, look at strikes, and the volume, kind of make sure that the value's there. I don't want to pay top dollar for something that's very out of the money. So with AMD, the other way would be shorting any rip. If we bounce higher, and as long as we're below 164, maybe that's a short. We'll use the 100-day moving average of 162.74 as kind of our way to short it. So again, if we get back up here, I don't want to short down the hole because it's going to be too expensive. So I think SMH would probably be a better bet in that end, but we'll use 162.51 as our kind of our ceiling. And if we tap that, we can keep kind of our view short in a sense, like if we break out, then we'll just get out of it. But more than likely, if we can revisit that, I think that's probably the better way to short than shorting here with momentum where it's just going to be really expensive. Dow's trying to push as well. Yeah, we have Delta calls. Yeah, we've traded that a couple times. It was a freebie before. Yeah, it's starting to push. 48.21. Lovely. A quick look at XLE time to get in puts. Let's see it. No, I mean, XLE has not broken below the resistance. It's actually bouncing from it. If we can get above 95.23, XLE is a long. You might have to buy that in terms of buying calls, in my opinion. You don't have to, but that's what I would look at. And again, just like we talked about in terms of Qs and all these other names, you retest the breakout, use that as support, and then you bounce higher. Or you break down, and then we're definitely going to short. And we're looking at 80 as a possible short, but we're not there yet. We'll see if we break it. Have a great rest of your morning, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you guys tomorrow for the next morning note. Cheers all.